Winnie Byanyima Muhoozi Kainerugaba Museveni Kiza Besigye.
Okutya ntya era n'ennaku zonna ennaku zino ntambula ne sapule yange nsaba Katonda ntya lwaki sitya omusajja ye CDF mukulu w'amagye agamba nti agenda ate akakiiko aka kooti kabadde k'amagye ye mukulu waako agambye nti alagidde nti ono muntu wakufa ate bayinza kumuwa ekirala era balina okugamba nti afe. Badde ntidde nnyo era n'okulwana nti kooti y'amagye bagijjewo. Tubadde wano nga tugezaako buli kimu kyonna. Omusajja oyo ekituufu ndaba nti tali bulungi. Omuntu ali bulungi mutwe tayogera bw'atyo. Oleka kooti n'emala omulimu gwayo n'esalawo ate tosalawo ng'omuntu tannawozebwa. Kyo ky'okusooka. Ndaba nti tali bulungi, mulwadde mu mutwe. Ekyokubiri kye ndaba kiri bwe kiti nti asazeewo bw'atyo. Ekyo kiyamba omunnayuganda okutegeera lwaki kooti masho teyandibadde ng'ekola omulimu ng'ogwo, kubanga olaba nti eyaleeta omusango kitaawe mukulu w'amagye omukulu yaleeta nti ayagala kunzita. Okay. Kooti esalawo y'abamagye ate abo nabo babe ate bayita mu mutabanyi ye chief of defense anasalawo omusango nasalawo oba bamutte oba ki era yeeyo kooti. Kakati awo oba olaba nti awoleza gavumenti naye w'amagye. Sekiraga nti tewali justice. Siyinza kukubba n'enziba ebintu byo ate n'ojja ewange ze kooti zensalawo obusango ate zeekubbye zensalawo n'ekyokukola okusiba oba obutakusiba. So omusango ogwo gwalaze bannayuganda nti kooti y'amagye era si kooti yakusalawo emisango ng'egyo. Ndowooza abantu bakirabye bulungi. Kyatuyambye okunyonyola abantu nti eno kooti teyandibadde kooti yaki yakusala misango gy'abantu. Ffe aba opposition owakana ne Museveni ate akutwala mu kooti ye tiyakusalira omusango gw'okumuwakanya. Eyo kooti y'amazima si y'amazima. So kituyambye mu ngeri eyo. Musaba addeko mabega atunule mu maaso. Musajja kaakati alina emyaka 84 okusingako. Yeetaaga okukola pulaani ey'okuwummula ensi n'agireka mu mikono emirungi. Ate eyo pulaani si ye yekka, yaffe ffenna. Alina okutuyita ffenna mu national dialogue, ffenna ne tuyiteesako. Waliwo bye tulina okutereeza okufuna omuntu omupya ng'ekyobululu. Tulina kulowooza ku Electoral Commission n'atuyamba okukwata obululu, okubisa obululu. Ensonga y'amagye, amagye gali personal nnyo. Olaba agakulira mutabanyi, abalala ba Luganda bwe bityo. Nago tulina okutegeera engeri gye tunaafugamu amagye agali personal, ekyo tukyogereko. N'ebirala bwe bityo tusobole okufuna change etaliimu nduulu ne violence. Nakubuulidde nti abo ba MPs kakati balinga 5 akalulu akagwawo wakomawo 2 byokka, 2. Abangi tebakomawo. Ku lw'ensonga eyo bwe bajja mu paalamenti, President Museveni abakozesa agenda ye ey'okutwala obufuzi bwonna. Abantu babagoba. Era ne kati bwe bagenda mu paalamenti ne babasaba ne bakyusa constitution n'amateeka nti bazzeewo court martial okusala emisango y'abasivilian, tebajja kukomawo. Abantu bajja bagoba bayige. Kubanga Museveni kaakati yeetunulamu nti yeeteeka. Kyayagala kyonna kifuuka teeka n'akikola. Etteeka bwe bateririiwo aliteekawo. Yeerabamu ng'etteeka. Naye ba paalamenti bwe bamukkiriza n'abakozesa tebajja kukomawo, bakimanye. Twalwana nnyo okumuggya mu kooti ey'amagye. Era nzijjukira olunaku olwo bwe twamuggyawo, lwali lunaku 2 January twamuggyayo. Naye omusango ne baguwa omusajja ng'ayitwa Justice Katuutsi. Yakola amazima n'asala omusango obulungi, omusango n'agigoba. Naye oyo omusajja bw'okigendera tebaamuyisa bulungi, oyo judge. Ndowooza kati yafa, simanyi. Naye tebaamuyisa bulungi kubanga yakolera ku mazima ate nga tebaagala mazima. So okwegamba bajudges abamu bakolera ku mazima. Era we hope, twesiga nti tujja kufuna judge anaakolera ku tteeka. Tetumanyi. Bwe tufuna omu ku bajudge abakolera Museveni, ekyo tukiraba, tujja kugenda mu court of appeal ate tukole ki. Dr. Besigye namukyalidde jjo. Era nga talina maanyi, tasobola kujja ku senta okulaba abagenyi be, naye banzikiriza ne ngenda mu Seero ne mulaba. Mu Seero ye abadde yeebase nga tayinza kutuula, amaanyi tayina, naye nga yasazeewo nti kasita kati bakkiriza nti ngende mu kooti eya civilian. By'okugaana emmere mbirese, ngenda kutandika kulya. N'asaba nti tumuleetere fruits, obutunda n'ebirala. So nalese nga n'obuugi, nalese nga atandise okulya. Naye ku by'ensonga eza kooti, ekituufu emisango gye bamusibyewo ya bulimba, bamusibyewo treason, ate giri gye basooka nayo mu court martial bagivuddewo. Ndowooza bakirabye nti eri ebadde ya bulimba tejja kuyita mu kooti eya civilian, ne bamusibawo endala. Naye agamba kale tujja kutuukayo tuwoze. Otiibwe yaŋŋamba nti yali agenze ku mitingi, omuntu yali agambye nti agenda kuwagira ekibiina kyabwe mobilization. Omanyi nga Museveni yabbako ekitundu, abo banandala ne bagenda ne batwala ne building yaabwe, sente zaabwe. Kati bano nga baagala kubayamba okuzzamu ekibiina kyabwe baddemu bazimbe branch zaabwe. Kyeyali ayogera n'oyo omusajja, ekyo kyemanyi. Naye okutuukayo ate ne bamubba ne bamutwala. Ate n'ole yamuyita agenda omuyamba, naye n'afuluma n'adduka. Kitegeeza nti naye yali amulimba. So eyo story tujja kugyogera. Mind is on freedom for Dr. Kizza Besigye. We can't have people who just say things are not going well, like these young new people who say we don't have jobs, we don't have this, and you end up in the court martial. This is not an environment that is acceptable in Uganda. It's not a political environment where we can have competing ideas in politics. I'm committed to fighting this. And now I'm here to fight for the freedom of Dr. Kizza Besigye. Questions about who will run for president and all that, well, I'm watching to see. I'm watching to see who wants to stand, and if there is a good team to work with, I could, but it's not my primary occupation now. Dr. Kizza Besigye's personal doctor was there to see him 2 times in this last week. One time she had him taken to a clinic, private clinic in Golobi, and they checked all his organs. They found that all of them were okay, except that his kidneys were beginning to suffer some damage because of not drinking enough. So we advised him to drink more and more water. But by the time they took him to court yesterday, it was his 8th day of not eating. He was extremely weak. He had told me the day before that he feels dizzy, so he keeps lying down. When he sits down, the dizziness is high. So I suspect is not able to walk because of weakness, and even to sit up for long because of weakness. But I suspect now that he started having fluids, yesterday he started having fluids, that in another 2-3 days he should be able to get up and walk. Thank you for your concern. You know, that's an interesting question, because the courts, like other institutions, the president has interfered with them, intimidated them, manipulated them. It is difficult to know. We cannot say outright that we'll get justice, but we will try. We'll do our best to get justice. Look, even now, after kidnapping Kizza Besigye, he did a quick change in the judiciary. He took some 2 men and put them in the Constitutional Court. Of course, he knows we have a case there. We have a case there in the Constitutional Court. We want the Constitutional Court to say whether it is right to kidnap somebody in another country and then accuse them of treason in another country. That is going to be decided by the Constitutional Court. But he has very quickly put in 2 new judges. We don't know why, but it seems that the intention is to influence that court. Even the lower court, he has appointed many new judges. Some of them have close connections with his party and himself. We'll see. The law is a law. They are required to judge according to the law. And the judicial system is international. Whatever ruling you make gets into the books and becomes a precedent. If you do bad law, you dig a hole for yourself. So let's see. But by and large, we expect justice, because we have got it in the past that courts have been able to rule justly. Was Andrew Mwenda last night. He said, correct me if I'm wrong, that for him, he was in a very emotional state, and his emotion seems to be that he was so aggrieved that Besigye wanted to kill Museveni. That if it was him, he would have killed Besigye in Kenya. But Mwenda saying he would have killed Besigye. I don't know whether this is even I don't know whether we should even go to the police and notify the police that there's someone with intent to kill. I found it really shocking. But thank God he was not killed. Thank God he was brought here, and we are going to go to a civilian court. But all this nastiness, I have to tell you, is so unfortunate for all of us in Uganda. We need a country that is managed in a civil way, where politics is managed well, people come in and people come out, and we, the rest of the people, just benefit from good decisions. This is what's happening in other countries. The other day in Namibia, my friend Netumbo Ndaitwa, a woman was elected president. She hasn't yet taken over. She's waiting for inauguration. But there was no big fuss. She won the election. She's going to be named. She's the first woman to be the president. No fuss. Didn't even make news here. The other day in Ghana, the government lost. The opposition leader won. It wasn't big news because it all goes smoothly, properly, according to the law. Here, this refusal to respect institutions, the Constitution, this I am going to rule because I have the army, because I am strong, is costing us so much. All these kids you see, we have no jobs, we have no jobs. Where will they get them from if Uganda is not stable? If everybody is waiting for the person who will shoot out Museveni and bring his own army, build his own army, who is going to bring their money here and start big businesses? I was recently at the World Economic Forum in Davos. I was in a room with presidents, prime ministers, ministers of finance, and central bank governors. And in this meeting, business people were there, those who own companies that are global. Somebody like the head of Heineken beer was there. Someone from Google was there. So these companies were talking about how they are investing in Africa. All of them kept mentioning, now you could see where is money going in Africa. They spoke about South Africa. They spoke about Ghana. They spoke about Kenya. And they spoke about Ethiopia and even Rwanda, 5 countries. Not one single person mentioned Uganda. You can see that investment flows are going to countries that are relatively free, where the rule of law works, where there's predictability in transitions. This is where money goes. This is where jobs are created. Not here, where we are all waiting for another war or some coup or yeah. So this violence in politics costs ordinary people their jobs. Colonel Kizza Besigye left here on a Saturday because on Sunday there was going to be a book launch by Martha Karua, his friend, launching her autobiography on Sunday morning. He arrived in Kenya on Saturday, like mid-afternoon, and he checked into a hotel. He had another meeting with someone he knew, whom he'd been working with, on strengthening the new party they are forming. So he went to see this person in the afternoon. Turns out that this person is the one who led to his arrest. He hadn't yet gone to his book launch. The book launch was going to be the next day in the morning. They waited for him. He never showed because he had been abducted at about 5 o'clock in the evening. So that's the story. So that was the first part of your questions. I wanted to make it clear because they kept saying, but if he was going for the launch, why was he now meeting somebody? When you go to a town, you go there to do only one thing. This is a bit stupid. When you go to a place, you do your maybe 3 meetings, you do some shopping, you visit a relative, you don't just do one thing and fly back. So that was it, that he had a book launch and he had a meeting with a friend. We are becoming more and more a criminal state. Our country can easily slide to become like some. Do you see Haiti? Haiti is a criminal state. I was there recently, and gangs control like 80% of the capital, Port-au-Prince. And they charge taxes, they control parts of the country. These are gangs, gangs selling drugs and all of that. We could easily fall into the direction of being a criminal state, with more and more groups setting themselves up here to break the law and make money. That's one outcome. The other one is that we could return to a situation of insurrection where some youth, desperate, now start fighting the government using any guise. A lot of young people tend to now fall behind religion and fight really for justice using the religious platform. This is what you got when in Nigeria, Boko Haram came up. Boko Haram came up in northeast Nigeria. When they started, there were young people like you trying to help to get young people to survive in a country where they were totally neglected. The elites would all be born in the rest of the country. You can imagine elites from Acholi or Giswe, all would head to the capital to get a bit of an oil mine, to get a job in the city. And all the regions were full of young people with no jobs, no development, no roads, no health, nothing. So these youth started to organize themselves to say, let's help ourselves, let's build our clinic, and they were using religion. They would be around the mosque. They are Muslim. Oxfam, the organization I led, actually supported them, gave them training on advocacy, on how to champion their own rights, how to make income-generating projects. When they became militant and they started telling the government that why don't we have jobs, why don't we have this, the police came in and killed some of them and stood there and said, if anybody makes another noise, we will show them. That was when Boko Haram went to the bush and became international.
Hold on, before you pay for yet another app to manage your team, let me introduce you to Connecting, the one platform that replaces all of these. I'm talking about live scheduling, time tracking, and digital forms that help you stay in control. Use instant team updates and personal or group chats to communicate easily.
International Islamic State organization, and they became now part of international terrorism. Now they can't get rid of Boko Haram in the northeast. It's a battleground between the government and the rebels. Government has never taken the region back, or no state. I'm giving you this story to tell you how it's possible for this country also to start breaking up and being a country where the state is not able to control all the borders. People are angry and are setting up little resistance groups against a government that doesn't care about them. So we have to think hard about how to keep our country together. And keeping it together means having a government that responds to the needs of people, that is promoting development in all parts of the country, that there is equality of people, the jobs are shared fairly, and all these things. I worry that Uganda will go into an economic regression, and that young people will take the law into their own hands. Those things worry me. I'll tell him to take a few steps back. Let him take a few steps back and address the transition. We need a peaceful, transparent, inclusive transition from you. Set up a national dialogue. Let it be facilitated neutrally. bring your friends like the Nyerere Foundation to come and moderate a discussion between all political forces about the transition from you. Let the basic things happen, like changing the Electoral Commission, like defining the role of the army to keep them out of elections. Museveni as a family, let me first of all discourage people from looking at this from a personal angle, but also answer the personal question. President Museveni is our friend, it's true, and for a very long time with our family, and that friendship remains. It doesn't go away. But we don't agree politically. We disagreed with him politically. I did, my father did, and we maintain that we don't agree politically. But the family friendship remains. I think it should not be hard to see. There must be many other families where one is left, another is right, and so on. So I don't want to make the family thing an issue in this campaign. But the other day, I did mention an incident where my family reached out to support his mother, who was being politically persecuted. The point I was trying to make at that time was that some people were making the case that let us pray for him to change his heart, to change his mind. And I was saying to them, he is who he is, he's not going to change. He can be unsympathetic with people. That's his nature. Don't expect him to change. But I was not in any way trying to suggest that because we had a relationship, therefore he must not bring a case against Besigye. No, it doesn't work like that. He has brought cases against me. I was in prison. They have ever read me charge and caution treason. I faced a sedition case for 2 years. I faced a case of illegal possession of guns for 2 years. We can be charged. We are citizens like another. Having a relationship with him is not an insulation against a charge. All I was trying to say to people is that stop praying for his character to change. You know, you can have a relationship with him and he can see you in another light, and that's okay too. That's okay too. We're not asking for special favor because we once knew him. No, but I'm just explaining to people, don't expect him to be a different kind of human being. That's who he is. So let me leave that there, that we have a family relationship. It has endured many, many years, family perspective. But on the one hand, I feel that the country has been betrayed. I feel that comrades like Kizza Besigye and myself as a comrade, we have been betrayed because we went out with the same political objectives. Today we see that he does not represent them anymore. He abandoned them. He abandoned the movement. He built personal power. He runs the country with his family. The movement is not the movement we once knew. So, yeah, we feel betrayed politically. But from a family perspective, no, I don't feel betrayal there. I heard those videos, but I cannot comment about them, and I don't understand what they are. Because, I mean, if they are about a plan to do something, we need to hear more. You can't, on the basis of a 1 minute clip, conclude that there is a big plan here. Why don't they bring everything? If they want us to hear and make up our minds, how do we make our minds on the basis of a 1 minute or 2 minute clip? What can you read in that? I mean, a plan to overthrow a government can't be in 1 minute. You need a story. You need to see people. You need to know who was trying to do what. So it seems that this is just propaganda. And that's why I called you, to really to help the country understand that we are being abused actually. If you have a case like we see in the charge, that he had meetings, I don't know, in this city and that city and that city, that's a plan. Now put that plan down on the table and we see that he was in this meeting with X and they plotted like this, then they went and met again here and they plotted like this. We're waiting for that. When it comes in court, he who alleges must prove. They will put their case and we will defend ourselves. But now, when you are just pulling out little 1 minute here to mesmerize, this is propaganda. It's bad propaganda. So I would say to anyone who gets those audios that just say, keep your audios, bring everything in the court, let us hear the whole story and we will answer it. And we are not going to make the mistake to run after them to say, oh, that audio I have heard. Oh, Besigye voice. Now can't you have my voice here? Hey, if you have my voice and you take it somewhere and you don't tell them she was at a press conference, I could be doing something bad. We need the context. We need to know who is he talking to, what is being proposed. All that is not in that little audio. So, propaganda, propaganda, propaganda. If you have a good case, you wouldn't go building propaganda against someone. But the aim is to destroy Kizza Besigye's reputation, tell the public how bad he is, how he's against people, how he wants to destroy the country, and you'll go to court and lose the case, but you have made him dirty here. That's the whole point. Mwenda himself said it. He said, we know that that case might not stand in court, but we are determined to convict him in the court of public opinion. Yeah? Okay. Maybe they own many radios, but we'll also go there and explain. We need elections, but we need good elections, elections that are meaningful, where people have a real choice, where people's votes are not stolen and bribery and all of that. We need elections. And we need to start now talking about the quality of those elections. You see, we have moved to a point where we have a totalitarian, a leader who doesn't distinguish himself from the law. Everything, he tells every institution to do what he wants. He is the law. He has made himself the law. Electoral Commission must deliver what he wants. Courts have to give him what he wants. Parliament must make the laws he wants. He's substituted himself for the law. This is the situation Uganda is in. But to rescue it, we have to keep pushing back against his takeover of key institutions. So we will go into an election like that, but fighting to stop him from manipulating it. We cannot do without them. I mean, people get personal, and most of that you shrug it off because it's meant to be diversionary. It's meant to distract from the public issues. So most of the time, the best way is to just dismiss it. But sometimes when they are saying things that could hurt your message, then you address them. In the case of Adonia, he was trying to say that two things. One, that I am an international civil servant, therefore I must not comment on this question of my husband and how he was being treated. And I said to him, no. There is no job I have which tells me that I cannot defend my husband. If there was such a job, I would quit. Because the first thing you enter a job to do is to look after your family. You don't abandon your family. Then the second point was saying you are an international civil servant, you must not. No, the second thing he was saying is that Museveni helped you to get a job, therefore you must not comment on Museveni, on that one. That's really, really ridiculous. Because on the one hand, Museveni didn't help me get a job. I applied and I was selected for a job. He is like other presidents who are usually asked to give a no objection. That doesn't mean that if he gives objection, they will refuse. No. America, Sweden, Uganda, Rwanda, a number of countries were asked, this is the person we have chosen, what do you think? You just say yes, you can't say no. So even if it was that, me, Winnie Byanyima, you do not buy me. No, I am in my job because I was put in the job because I was valued for who I am, what I bring, the perspectives I have, the networks I have, the skills I have. So you can't come to me and this is how he runs the system in Uganda. This is not how he runs other people. I am my own person and I give my views. And even if he had ever gotten me a job, which is not true, he would not buy my voice. My voice is my voice, my views are my views. So I dismiss that, and I don't want to go back into those stories because they are diversionary, totally diversionary. I'm Winnie Byanyima with my own mind, doing a global job in the best possible way I can, and allowed that space to defend my husband, not to become a political leader here or to take a side. Dr. Besigye hasn't been normal. When that day we came back from a party at Parliament, there was a party to end the year. It was coming to November there, or September. Parliament held a party to close, before they closed Sendai. We came home. It was midnight. When I got into bed, he was sitting in the bed and he said, I have something to say to you. So I also sat. And he said, I am going to run against Museveni. I remember telling him that, Besigye, do you realize that this is going to change our lives forever? He said, yes. I said, do you realize this is like a one-way ticket? He said, yes. Because I realized that he had not mentally yet started to think that he can be competed with. He was thinking, we are in the movement, I'm going to always be the single candidate. And indeed, when he declared, the next day, he immediately came out with a horrible statement saying, Besigye, a traitor, I will put you 6 feet under, meaning I'll kill you. Since then, our lives have changed, and Besigye has lived for 25 years as a hounded man, hounded. There were years he was under house arrest here. They didn't call it so, but there were guards that were down at the road and guards here at this gate. They would stop him going out when they don't want. They would allow him when they want. When we were building this house, there was a neighbor who had just built a shell of a house, wasn't yet a house. Security came and bought the house from him and finished it and put themselves there to keep watching what goes on here. That neighbor there, for a long time, had a camera that looks right into our house. Recently, it was removed. We don't know why. But he was good enough to tell us that they wanted to put things on top of my house. They are there. But there was a camera there for years. We never had meetings here because we knew they were watching us. So we've lived like that whatever he does, wherever he goes, he's being watched, he's being followed. If he insists on going out, they will arrest him and bring him back at night. This is it. This is how to live as opposition here. Hounded. So we're not afraid. We've lived like that. that coming together of all progressive forces. It has been very encouraging to see many groups coming together to protest this lawlessness, this blatant abuse of our constitution, and speaking with one voice. They invited us to go to a meeting to pray for political prisoners. I went there at the NUP party headquarters because it was prayers for all. It was not a partisan thing. But these actions are important to come together, because when you look at all the parties now, their state of health, it's actually a reflection of our leader, President Museveni. Each party now is broken into two, if not three. Take DP, take CP, Mpuga has left, take UPC, and now FDC. Each party has a part which he has broken off using money. So, coming together is so important because the fragmentation is he's fragmenting them to weaken them, but pulling together is the way to really put up a resistance to the regime. There is a law that says Parliament must not make any law to reverse a decision of the court. So if they do that, they'll be in breach of that law. It will be a very bad precedent to set that a parliament is trying to overthrow a decision of the judiciary. But they are not very sensitive about that. That caucus is full of members of parliament. Think about it, there are more than 500. Only about 200 of them are parliamentarians who came back. The majority are new. We've got to a point where most of them don't last more than one term. Only 200 are in a second term. So every election, so many are thrown out. That's why when they arrive, they are trying to find ways to make a lot of money to go to buy voters, but it doesn't seem to work. So the parliamentarians are out to please the president because they fear that come the election, he can deploy the army, he can deploy money to fight them. They want his support. So they will be wanting to sign whatever he gives them because all that's in their head is, will I make it back?
Kale byebyo Winnie Byanyima n'ensonga ezigenda maaso mu ggwanga General Museveni Muhoozi mutabani we bye beeyisaamu engeri gye bakuttemu eggwanga lyaffe na biki ebiyinza okudirira ajje obwino waabwe n'abalaga nti yabamanyi nnyo era n'atulaga kuwa kigenda okuggwera naye nga kimaliriza mu Uganda gwe wenna gy'oli olina kusituka olina kukwatirawo wamu olina kulaba ng'otereeza ensi yotwalagenda gikuteerereza okujjako ggwe nange tulina okutereeza eggwanga tulina okutereeza ensi yaffe tusobola okugyeyagaliramu kubanga tuli bawano tulina waka walala wabula wano tulina okuba tulina okubeera ebbanga lyonna ebiseera byonna okutambula nga kitambula kigenda mu maaso yeyagaliramu kimu nga kitweyagaza kubanga wano waffe wano we twazaalibwa ate we tulina okukuuma